So there's a VR going round at the moment about why people collect, started by the fabulous Rodgy Retro Gamer, or Game, I don't know, Rodgy Retro probably, that's more like it. I don't know, I've been watching him for years and I still don't know what his channel name is. And he asked the question, why do we collect as it is? And see, quite a few people responded to this. I'll try and stick links to everyone's had a stab at it in the description below, so you can go and have a look at what they've been up to. I thought, given where I am at the moment, it's probably a good time to do a response to it. I wasn't quite sure if I was or not, but I think it'd be good for my thoughts to be sort of presented to you in a way that you might get where this journey started from, why I'm still here, why I'm still doing it, the pitfalls and tribulations, and the joys and the highs and the lows and things like that. There's a lot to it. So Rodgy started it, and do go across and check him out, because it's a great idea and it's got people talking, which is good. It's always a good thing. So why do I collect? Why do I collect? Well, first point is, how did I start collecting? And that's the thing. And for me, I'm not sure whether it's a hereditary thing. I don't think anybody's mentioned this so far. I think everyone said it's to do with having an addiction or an addictive personality. I think mine might be hereditary, because my mum used to collect like Mason's pottery, which hardly anybody can know what I'm talking about. And my dad has interests and hobbies. One is playing the guitar. He tries, bless him. He's playing the guitar, and he's got loads of guitars. He's got like, I've got a room here for this. He's got a room in his house. He had to build an extension on his house to fit all his guitars and musical instruments into it. So he's got an interest in that. He likes cycling still at his age, and he's had quite a few different bikes for different sorts of cycling. Like racing bikes for road cycling. If he was going into the not say mountain, that's the wrong way to describe it. If he's going off-road, he's had like a mountain bike or something like that. So, and he has interested himself in the American Civil War. He's got loads of books and stuff on it. He does airfix models still. So, he's got lots of interest in things, and you can go around the house. And, even in the front room, he's got these airfix models in little display cabinets with, bits of fake astroturf to simulate grass where the planes are landing and all that. So I mean, he's fully into all that. So he probably takes it to a completely different level than I do. So, and my sister used to collect boyfriends, not anymore, but that makes it sound horrible. But she seemed like that at one point, certainly when she was a certain age. So certainly, anyway, immediate from parents downwards, there seems to be this thing to collect different things. What did I collect before this? Well, I think the only thing I probably say I did collect before this was sort of VHS and DVD. I mean, I used to collect books, but I had lots of books, but I wouldn't collect books. It's not, I wouldn't have like a favourite author and run out and buy all the collected works of that particular person. They had a new book coming out, or like say it was Shakespeare or something like that. I wouldn't read anyway. I wasn't just buying that, I just buy books that would interest me. And it's the same with DVD. I collect films or TV series, and the one probably big one was wrestling. I collect loads of wrestling VHS and DVD. That's probably the biggest one. But of course, I've got all those on digital now, so I've got rid of all my DVDs a few years back. And I still kept my VHS, just because at the time, which is quite again applicable to what's going on in some areas at the moment, is that when the WWF lost the court case, they couldn't use WWF and the logos and things like that. People started saying, oh, you need to buy the videos because these videos will never be shown again. This was years before the network was an idea, or even before WWE 24/7 or WWE On Demand was a thing. So I went out and bought loads of VHS, and just a massive giant VHS wrestling collection, which I've still got, and hidden away, because it has to be hidden away because there's nowhere else to go. So yeah, so I again, I suppose, like, it is an illness. I think that's probably been the case, as I mentioned in my last video, which I will address in a separate video. I'm going to talk about that now. That's coming up another time. But just going around and getting addictively buying things. So when I started to collect this sort of stuff, even when I had like an Amiga and the PlayStation 1 when I was a kid, I wasn't actively going out and buying loads of games for it. You buy games that you wanted to play. That's how you should do it. That's how you should do it. But then when I first started collecting this sort of stuff at car boots in the late 2000s, it was because I could find an N64 for a fiver or a Mega Drive for a fiver. And because I never had an N64, played on one, always wanted one, I thought for a fiver, I'll have that. And of course, Mrs. Bear, you know, who now he's quite happy to be, you know, like vets are very happy when they're elbow deep in a cow's backside. Mrs. Bear is very happy, you know, elbows deep in a Dragon 32 or something. And she was saying, why are you buying all that stuff? You know, why it's all old tech, nobody wants that. Because it's a fiver. But it's old tech, because I've never had one before and I want one. So, you know, that's it. That's how it started. And that's how I started. I was still going to car boots, and you go around buying, you know, all of a sudden you start buying stuff, and it becomes an obsession because you want to go every week, and you only go to 2 car boots every week. So your weekend, Saturday and Sunday, you're going to car boots. And then you stop. I had to stop because I had no idea. I was just basically filling space on the floor. There's nothing like this. Then, that went for a couple of years. Then in about 2014, 2015, we started getting ideas about putting a proper room together, because when we moved back into this house, we really wanted a room where we could just put media in, to have like DVDs and films and stuff like that. That's what we wanted to do. And it sort of steamrolled from there, because we've got 2 big bedrooms and this one. So we got 1 big bedroom for us. 1 big bedroom being kept as a guest bedroom, because we had a guest during that time I started collecting. And then this little room, which also had a guest for a brief period of time, but was basically involved in just dumping stuff in. So all my game collection at that point was in carrier bags on the floor. And then we thought, well, how do we do this? You know, build these shelves from scratch, draw it out, how are we going to get it all laid out? And then bought all the stuff to do the room out in. So when I first did the room in 2014, this was before I was doing mass collecting. You know, I'd have all the Amiga stuff up there. The Commodore 64 stuff was up there behind me, where the Wii wall was. The Wii was, you know, is now where Mark sits here. And it's just various bits and pieces. And behind me was like mostly Commodore 64 up to about there, second shelf down, then PlayStation 2, which I'd amassed mostly from car boots. And then the rest of it was light guns, joysticks, just anything to fill the shelf with. Actually, I had wrestling DVDs across the bottom as well at one point, and that was it. PlayStation 2 wall, which you can't see, wasn't actually there. That had to be built afterwards to accommodate the Wii collection. That's where the Wii collection went originally, and it swapped over, so they've both moved since then. And then in 2015, I started collecting again. And this was on the mass scale, because you go out and you find, you know, I was only really interested in buying at the time games that I wanted, very much keeping that thing. And I'm not saying Mrs. Bear's entirely responsible. She's saying, well, when you collect for this because it's so cheap, and you look around and they're like, well, yeah, PlayStation 2's really cheap and the Wii's really cheap, and yeah, well, I'll be stupid. But I didn't want to buy games. I went looking for GoldenEye on the Wii. That's how it started. I didn't want to buy this when it's still £7. I'm not spending £7 when I might never play. Can you believe me saying that now? But I then 3-4 weeks later, happily go out and buy FIFA 08 for 25 pence, because you could still buy games for 25 pence back then. And that's how it started, and that's how it became an obsession. From that, then I started filling the shelves up. We had to build the second one, and then after COVID, we had to move into the second bedroom and agree on a compromise that half the bedroom would be storage for my game collection, and the other half would still be a bedroom. At the moment, it's probably about 70-30 now, although, to be fair, that's Mrs. Bear's overspill as well, so some of the stuff that's waiting repair and bits and pieces in there as well. So it's very easy to get out of control. It's incredibly easy to get out of control. It's an addictive personality, and one of my frustrations at the moment is it still is, even though I feel so disconnected from it all at the moment. Again, more on that in another video. I still keep buying stuff. I can't help myself. Even now, I found myself last week just flicking a couple of websites. What's Nick's update at Vintage Game, or what's Jace doing at Retro Games, and Claire will show me stuff on the phone saying, "Oh, you know, are you interested in that?" I'm like, no, and it's very difficult. You know, you're like, oh, yeah, well, maybe. I don't want to say yes. And that's how that's how it started. Well, I didn't start being a collector. This moves on to the second part of the question: am I a gamer or am I a collector? Well, I think it's fairly obvious. I'm a collector. I mean, I think Stu said in his video, you know, it's borderline hoarding, which it is. It's, you know, I suppose really you could call me a collector or a collector. It's between the two. It really is. And even though what I feel at the moment, it would be a real shame to see it all go. I'd have to burn it probably, so nobody else would have it. But yeah, it does feel like hoarding. It does sometimes feel like you're just buying stuff for hoarding it, with good intentions. I think, and that's the difference. You know, a hoarder doesn't realise that they've got a problem, it's out of control, and they'll just buy any old stuff. I actually, you know, don't just buy any old stuff anymore. I did back then. That is the example of buying any old stuff. But now it's like I selectively pick it out. So although I'm not looking for any particular, I'm like, oh, I'll pick that up and yeah, not really my sort of thing. I might play that one. I definitely haven't got that for any of the systems, and it's that. So it then becomes sort of selective hoarding, borderline collecting. So that's it. I mean, you know, back when I first started, it was all about the games, playing them. Now it's all about the games, collecting them. I don't really care if they work or not. That's the other bloody problem as well. That's really stupid, isn't it? Spend all this money on crap that doesn't work. It's weird. So you know, I keep looking around because, you know, just you know, but you know, behind all that, there's a little bit of a story each time. You know, I look up there, you know, I'm looking at my Mega Drive stuff here. Just these games have just got sat on the front of the shelf. World Class Leaderboard. I love Leaderboard. It's a great game. I loved it on the Amiga. I played on the Commodore 64. It's a great game on a Master System. I love Leaderboard golf games. So I haven't got that one. That's, you know, that's no brainer. Predator 2. I've always wanted Predator 2 for the Mega Drive. I don't know why. Same with Rambo 3. I've always wanted Rambo 3. Alien 3. I love that on the Amiga. So and it's a nice copy. The Lion King. I love playing that. Years and years ago, someone said, "Oh, you know, we'll spend a weekend playing Mega Drive games." Went to his house in Hereford. You know, because we were at college not far from there. We went out for the weekend to his parents' house and spent all weekend playing Mega Drive games, and that was when I played The Lion King for the first time. Wrestle War, I've got so many memories of that in the arcade and having the cartridge originally. Yeah, so you know, just looking at that, they've all got a little bit of a story, and that's why they're there. They're not there because of random games. The one next to it, Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck in the World of Illusion, it's a beautiful looking game. I've never played it. It's a beautiful looking game, but, you know, that's got no story behind it. But some of them have, you know, some of them haven't. It's weird. But I like to think there's a, you know, it's not that takes it away from being hoarding into collecting. You know, it's the same way if you buy like furniture or vases or things like that. You're looking for something which fits a certain. You know, you buy a piece of furniture to fit what you've already got. If you're buying vases and you're buying, you know, something else in that style, like my mum used to do pottery. You know, she'd buy a particular style and she'd want to collect that. You know, that sort of image and go through with it. And it's just like, yeah, I mean, some stuff I buy because it's just there. But I like to think some of it's got a little bit of a story behind it, which makes it a bit more personal, which means, yeah, crossing over. So what are the joys and the trials of doing this? If we start with the trials and finish on the joys, that'll be positive to finish on it. The trials of doing this, oh man, it's being committed to doing it. It is being committed to doing it. You have to start. I know that people do subsets and things. I can never do, and complete clips. I can never do that. None of my sets are complete. They never will be. And I understand that. And that's one of the reasons why. That's one of the trials of it. Because you've got to then have the determination to see it through until the end. Or you need to have incredibly deep pockets. And my advice to anybody who's got any stupid ideas about starting a full Mega Drive or NES or not Master System, SNES collection, is don't even enter it. Do emulation. I don't usually condone, don't usually promote things like that. But if you want a way of doing it, just do that. Because even if you're doing it behind one of other good games, they're still going to set you back a packet. You're going to need deep pockets. You're going to cheap hobby to get into this now. And this is, pricing is another thing, but that's been pushed by other forces. Fly-by-nighters who come on and say you need to buy these 10 games before they go out of print, and then all of a sudden the price shoots up. Eddie made a very good point. You know, for both arguments, the community is both a good and a bad thing when it comes to collecting for various reasons. You know, we can influence how much things cost. It's like, you know, going back to pre-COVID, 2019, I made a personal comment, I think it was on here, to say I'm going to start collecting more Master System. And then as soon as I decided to do that, and it's not because I decided to do that, don't get me wrong, the COVID hit and the prices shot up. And then all of a sudden collecting Master System wasn't quite the enticement it was, because at the time it was cheaper than NES, cheaper than Mega Drive, cheaper than SNES, and I do like the Master System. So it was a good one for me to go to. I still collect for Master System, over 100, you know, I've managed to collect over 100 games. It's probably, of all the collections I've got, the one I'm probably the most proudest of. But again, because of so many people doing it, and that's how it is, market forces, people have different tastes and preferences, they want to go for that, pushes the prices up. So yeah, that's one of the issues of it. You know, it's determined, you know, and again, it's knowing what to do. You've got to focus, you've got to be committed, you've got to, you know, scattergun approaches like I have done is all very well and good if you've got a cost price to do it. If you know, if you've got a budget, I started doing this to prove that you could do things on a budget. You could go out with 20 quid and come back with a stack full of games. Yeah, they might not be very good, some of them, but that's part and parcel. If you're spending 50p on a game and it's rubbish, you've lost 50p. Would you rather go and spend £5-10 on a game which somebody tells you you've got to go and get now before it goes at the 20-30 quid, and then find out it's rubbish? No, again, it's another thing. People say, you know, just collect the stuff you want to collect. That's it. So, you know, you've got to have a plan. You can't just walk into this blind. You've got to have a plan and to sort things out. Yeah, so, you know, try, you know, something negative. And it's a frustration as well, especially if you're going for a full set or something. You're trying to track down this perfect copy or whatever it is. And so many people do it with CEX. It's not knock on CEX. It's just they're the most visible company that people use. Somebody buys something, they do a roulette video, they open the box up, they spent 300 quid on a SNES game and it's missing the manual. You know, and that's how it is. Are you ever going to find the manual for that game? Have I got to spend £300 on how much more do you spend to get a manual to do that? Why doesn't it come with a manual? And it's just like the highest and the lowest. It's like buying a lottery ticket and getting 5 numbers out of 6. Sometimes it really is. I've got it, it's here, it's missing something. You know, it just happens like that. You've got to have a really thick skin to do it. Thick skin, deep pockets, focus and determination. And it can, you know, overwrought you. Can get obsessed by it. And this is, you know, that goes back to that addiction thing. Isn't it addiction or isn't it obsession? You've got to know when to stop and when it's getting out of control. And that's the other thing as well, doing stuff like this for the sake of doing stuff like this, videos and whatever, going out and buying stuff and, you know, I need to buy something. There's been so many people who've done that over the years. I could be guilty of that when I first started doing it. But it wasn't I was going out and buying stuff to do a video with. It was buying stuff that I just went and picked it up. Yes, I'd show it off on camera. And the good thing about that was nobody was watching. So it didn't make any difference at all on things like that. If you go back and watch the early stuff, you can see why nobody was watching. But yeah, it was like, you know, a Saturday morning, bang, out the door, come. You used to love looking at Saturday morning shops, do that. And now it's like, no. It's going to cost me a packet before I go out. So, yeah, so many things. What are the joys of it? Well, first of all, you can amass a collection like this. If you'd asked me 10 years ago, and bear in mind, 10 years ago, none of this existed in here. This was a bedroom. This didn't even exist. The retro bear didn't. I existed, but the retro bear, the extension of me, did not exist. None of this existed. Half the games here behind me weren't even here. I can tell you that. So you can actually have something, and if you're savvy enough, you can actually build a collection by actually not spending a huge amount of money. If you're able to trade stuff in and build credit that way. I know a lot of people like to do that. I've never done it that way. This mostly is either donations or my own stuff that I spent my own money on. But looking around, it's like you can build something like this very, very quickly, very, very easily, and if you do it the right way, very, very cheaply. It depends what you want from it. You know, if you want a retro game collection, go and get an Everdrive. You know, people do that. I mean, Big Game Al said that in his video. He's sold all his most of his, you know, retro stuff now, and he's got EverDrive so he can still play the games on. Benefit for him is he bought all that stuff when it was cheap. He sold it all at a good price. He's now bought a house with most of the proceeds from that. It's amazing. Same with Eddie. Eddie's done exactly the same thing. He's buying it back, but that's you know, that's his personality. You know, he said in his video, it's like an addiction. So you can see where it comes from, and it's a joy to build it. If you're building a full set, you're getting a game. You know, the great thing about doing it, mining the old 8-bit tapes and stuff. I know so many people don't like that sort of stuff. It's just, you know, too old-fashioned, too old hat. For me, it's a great thing. I never had that stuff back then, and I wanted it. Now I can get it. Now it's a joy finding things like that and adding games that I've ever wanted. And, you know, a few months ago, getting the gold cartridge for Zelda. I mean, I've got no real interest in playing Zelda on the NES. I've now got the gold cartridge. Now, if you asked me 10 years ago, I would have gone, wouldn't even entertain the thought of buying it. But I've got that now. And you can sit in here, and yeah, I mean, okay, I've moaned about it and gone on about it, and how you know, oppressive and infuriating and fed up I am with it. But, you know, there were times I should come up here, sit here, and I know other people have done it because they've told me that. Come up here and sit here, and just sit here and just look round with a cup of coffee in my hand or something like that, and think, yeah, I don't see this as a waste of money. I don't see it as a waste of money because I know I've got a lot of it on the cheap. That's the great thing about it. If all these things behind me here cost me, you know, £5-6 each, then, you know, if that wall there at an average price of £5 each would have cost me £3.5 grand, I would just sit there and say, there's £3.5 grand sat there, you know. But I don't, because I know I've spent nowhere near that on it. Nowhere near that on it. And it's not just because it's the Wii stuff. You know, if I looked across the, you know, even the Master System stuff, I know a lot of that hasn't cost me a huge amount of money. You know, I'm proud of that. So yeah, so there's great joys from it. You know, finding games that you never thought you'd come across. The great joy of going out to start with, and the thrill, the chase, the hunt, walking around car boots and shops and charity, things like that. You know, it's no fun sitting on eBay. Oh, there it is. Press the button, because, you know, that's dead easy. The other stuff is actually going out and grabbing it, giving it. You know, that's the sort of thing, you know. So, you know, it can give you great joy and pleasure. And I don't think, you know, occasionally I've had buyer's remorse. I would be lying and not be truthful to you if I said that there were some things that I bought and I sat there and gone home and thought, I didn't need that. Why have I bought that? Not as quite as often as you might think. But can be, you know, I don't think there's a lot of stuff here that I think there's, you know, a tiny fraction of stuff that maybe I bought and I thought, didn't really need to buy that. But then I think, well, what did it cost me if I can remember? And it's usually, well, it's not that bad. No, it's all right. You know, it's fine. And I think then, well, hang on a second, I spent 20 quid a few months back on the Commodore 64 game. 25 quid I think it was. You know, I spent 50 quid in the Wii game, and 70 quid in the Wii game. And I spent, you know, you go things like that. You know, I bought all those mini consoles. You know, they all sit on the shelf doing nothing. But yeah, it is how it is. So, in summarising, it's a fantastic hobby to be part of, as long as you treat it like a hobby. For God's sake, do not treat it like some sort of second career, because there are far too many people doing that already. Honestly, you know, it was the hobbyists to start with, not the hobbits, the hobbyists to start with, and then it became sort of like people trying to turn it into a career move. And now if you're going to come into it, you don't really fall into either category, do you? If you don't fall into either of those categories, there's no third category for you at the moment. So it's a wonderful thing to be part of, but you need to keep yourself in check and not let it get too carried away with you. And again, you know, what am I doing this for? You know, you ask yourself that question. You know, am I doing this because I like games? Am I doing this to be trendy? Is that still a word? On trend, popular? Am I doing this simply just to try and become rich and famous, which is never going to happen? Or am I just doing it for the love of it? You know, respecting the art, the time taken, the people who put these things together, in the thought process and whatever, and that's it. And if you're a gamer and you collect, great. And if you're a collector and you game occasionally, like I do, even, you know, good as well. And if you just find that balance you're happy with. It's a difficult one to answer, it really is, but yes, you can enjoy this hobby if you keep yourself in check. Yes, it is an addiction and it can get to you, and people have had issues with that, and that's why you need to budget. Budget is really, really important. Come in with eyes wide open and a budget. Do not come in half-arsed, because it will get you, and before you know it, it will suck you in, and before you know it, you will find yourself in trouble. And it's happened to a lot better people than me. It's happened to me. You don't want to be there, believe me. Right. Rodgy, fantastic idea for a question. I'm glad so many people have taken you up on that, and I hope this goes some way to answering that question. Great idea, fella. Really, really is good. And yeah, all the links below. Hope you enjoyed that. That's all from me for the time being. I will be back again when I feel like it. But until then, take care. Bye for now.